What do they say?
I don't know.
I'm waiting with bated breath here for the chat to give us the okay.
They're saying it sounds good.
Nice. Okay.
Good. Yeah.
All right. Recording is pressed.
Yes, lead us in.
Okay. Well, welcome to Coffee Talk 10. Are we at 10?
Yes, 10.
I think this is 10.
The
Wow.
big
I
10.
mean, that's incredible. So we are here. We are ready. And we are joined by NoHandsKen, who was very gracious to come and talk to us a little bit about some stuff that he wants to talk about. And I know, first of all, I would like to say thank you very much for coming. We got Google Hangouts set up and much easier than ETUB did. So far, ETUB's still the champion of can't make Google Hangouts work. So on the reigning champion. So I don't know if there's people out there who maybe don't know who you are, Ken. Maybe you want to like tell them a little bit about yourself or you know, why you're into PoE or why you're into gaming, you know, anything like that. Take it away.
Okay, guys. I'm as you know, NoHandsKen. I'm a tetra quadriplegic on a ventilator. That means I don't breathe on my own. The tube that's going to my neck is to a ventilator that helps me breathe. My favorite games are Diablo 2, Diablo 3, not so much anymore. Path of Exile, and Warcraft, and Heroes of the Storm. And the reason why I like these games, in the beginning of my injury, I was pretty depressed, and I didn't really know what I wanted to do with my life. So I started to venture into computers, where I was staying in a place where I was recovering. Sorry, when I talk, I die out.
That's okay.
It's fine. It's perfectly fine.
Yeah. So I got started playing Diablo 2, and then I went on to StarCraft, Warcraft, and a bunch of other games that it just keeps me busy.
Yeah.
And then about 3 years ago, my son was bugging me to stream Twitch, and I'm like, no way I could do that. I'm too shy. But I did it, and I'm here today with you guys, trying to show you that I can play, and not being not bad of a player.
Well, when you came to PoE, I know it was a pretty big sensation. I would have said there was a lot of, usually when there's a new streamer to PoE, there's not much mention, really, of new people to the game. But then, right, Noogie, when you say there was, I remember several threads about it.
I remember a lot of people being quite excited about your venture into PoE.
Yeah.
Quite amazed at the same time.
I love it, but it's a very difficult game.
Yeah.
And very hard to get started with. When you look at the passive tree, sorry, I get dizzy sometimes. You look at the passive tree in the beginning, and you're pretty much overwhelmed. But once you start to understand it, it becomes a cool game.
Mm-hmm. You said you played a lot of D2 in the past as well, right?
Sorry?
Like you played a lot of Diablo 2 in the past.
Oh, I played tons. Yeah, I actually played claim to fame back then was I was #1 on the West round with my assassin, trap assassin. But 15 minutes. That's my claim to fame.
It's good you can remember, because if somebody said to me, "What did you play?" Since I played a lot of D2, I would say Whirlwind Barb. I mean, I must have made 4 or 5 characters, but I don't think I could tell you what specs I played. It feels so long ago at this point.
Well, the trap assassin at one point in time pretty much killed everything until they got that ring. I think it was called the white ring, and it kind of screwed everything.
Well, I don't. It's so funny. I have no memory of any of the Stone of Jordan and Shaco, right? Wasn't that the helm?
Yeah, it was
Oh
a
yeah, that's the
ring
helm.
that kind of absorbed lightning and healed you.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, I think I remember something like that.
What was so OP about it? You could just run into damage and not die?
My lightning couldn't kill anything because it absorbed it.
Okay.
So it defeated the purpose.
Right.
So I was screwed.
It's interesting because we've talked about that in the past, about how that's one of the ways I guess other games have gone about trying to create diversity by not allowing the build to kill something, right, Noogie? Like I guess you've talked about Media and XL really had that. I guess I have to say that's one thing I like about PoE is that in general there's not that stuff, although I guess Guardians have a little bit of that, right?
Yeah. I think right now they only have it because it's an issue. Like there's an imbalance in the game, so they have to have it.
Right.
But they would rather not in PoE.
Right.
And the reason I chose Path of Exile is because I used to play D2. And it reminded me a lot of it.
Right.
But Diablo 3 was totally different. So.
Yeah, it's funny because I don't know if it's not praise or it's unfair, but I've always described PoE as Diablo 2.5. Yeah. And to me that's very high praise, but I guess I could see at this point PoE is its own game at this point, but I just feel like to describe it to somebody, that's what I would say.
I agree with you totally.
Yeah. Well, so do you have a favorite part of PoE that you?
Yeah, the races.
Okay.
But I was terrible at it. But I loved it.
Were you actually watching Noogie this morning when he was doing?
Yeah, I was watching him. Yeah.
He's been very what do you call it? He's been reminding me that I used to do better.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was watching this morning too. It looked I thought you were on a really good pace. I guess somewhere in Act 3 you fell behind a little bit.
Yeah.
But I mean, before that you were on a really good pace, I would have said. Right?
I think so.
I tried to copy his runs. I got it. I gave up on the Ranger.
Right.
Yeah, it's not the easiest thing right now to make work.
Right.
Oh, not at all.
Well, and it's an interesting point how to talk. You can touch on something Ken has mentioned before, but I mean, I understand it's a design, right? But like I said in your chat, imagine if you could just blast rain from level 12,
yeah,
instead of having to wait till 28. Because like when did they? That's in the history of PoE, that's relatively new. That the best gems are 28. Or I guess there was a bunch that were 31 back in the day.
I think that they've always wanted to have it like this.
Okay.
Because it's reminiscent of the D2 design, where you would start with a frostbolt and you would then end up with a frozen orb.
Right. Okay. Right. But that was because you were progressing on the tree itself to get the skill.
Yes.
Because weren't the skills were
but they were still bound in levels.
Okay. Right. Yeah.
Their tree was a bit easier.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, because you've talked about it, Ken, how one of the things you wish that would be helpful to you is a little bit more sort of hot swappable keys, or skills that really do things for you when you press one button, right?
Yeah, I really like when they. I know we talked about this before with me, you, and Nuki, but well, oh my God, I forgot what I was talking about. What were we talking about?
Cast on crit, stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry, I kind of glitched out. I really like when they brought it out because it helped me have another attack because I can only use 2 attacks. I can't use the bottom bars. So, I'm kind of, I guess, limited what I can do. So it makes it hard. So when they came out with that, I was like, yes, finally. I know Nuki has a different opinion on it.
Well, somewhat.
But that's okay.
Well, so Noogie, what is your opinion on it, in case people don't know?
So one of the things about cast and damage taking and cast and crit and all the cast and cast on cast, they make the game, or they can bring quite an imbalance to the game, to where it circumvents cast speed and it just keeps casting like a billion times, and the screen gets a lot like really cluttered and balances out the window, and we saw this because there was multiple iterations of these gems, and this is, if anyone's ever played Media and Excel, it's very reminiscent of those games, or that mod for D2, which had cast on hit, which was even worse. Anytime you hit anything with anything, it would then just cast another thing. So that was pretty crazy. And also, as a player, I like a lot of things just become automated. The immortal call setup, for instance, it completely negates all the dangerous physical damage spikes. But then again, when you then hear how other people approach it, where, well, maybe they're not as invested into the game, or they have other things hindering how they can play the game, well, then it becomes a very nice tool to have if you don't want to be clicking 8 different buttons at a time.
Well, do you think that the limiter that they put in was a good middle ground solution?
What limiter?
Right, because isn't there an eternal cooldown on the gem now?
Yes.
Oh, there is? I didn't know that.
There is, yes.
Yeah.
So
like a quarter of a second or 0.25
yeah, I think something like that. On any cast on something skill right now, there's a limiter. Also with Cosprays, the weapon has an internal cooldown as well.
Okay. Now it seems like the people. Go ahead, Ken.
You guys kind of, some of you guys kind of amaze me with your knowledge of the game. Like, I'm still learning about the game, but like every day, like there's so much to learn.
Well, I think personally, I think that's the best part about PoE. Even if,
exactly, it's hard.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be first. Yeah, and I'd be the first. I definitely don't know everything about PoE. Like someone might come into my channel and is like, "Morse, how does this work?" And I would go, "My God, you'd have to check the wiki or something." I don't know. People always ask me about random things I've never played. How does a bow thing work? Right. But yeah, but so Noogie, what do you think about the fact that the people who were really invested into the cock stuff, and then was there cast on melee kill too, or yes. I memed, by the way. Did you guys get the meme? I was totally serious when I said cock stuff. But people were super upset, right? Because I think people cite that as why Baked Chicken stopped playing, right? Because they, I guess, destroyed that. Yes. So what's your opinion?
They balanced
my attitude is sort of like it wasn't balanced, right? They had to do something.
Yes, it was crazy imbalanced. Like you can't if you allow stuff like that. If you allow cast and crit in its first iteration to stay in the game, eventually everyone gravitates toward that exact build because it is 5 times stronger on DPS than anything else, and you can't have that.
Right.
Then it becomes a very the game is just one build.
Right.
That's kind of
There's another one that we were talking about the other day. I guess logout macro.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm dead against it. Why play hardcore if you gotta cheat?
Well, so I know that's aimed. That's probably aimed a little bit as me, because I use it, and
I use it too.
Well, you use it as well. Yes. Well, we all like a lot of players use it, and I think the main reason why hardcore players have adapted to using the logout macro, and it's widely used by hardcore players, is due to like server issues, lag issues on GDD's end, right? Or on the
exigent exigent circumstances outside your control.
Yes,
basically.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that is the main reason. And then if you're used to using it anyways for that, it just becomes second nature, right? You see, oh, I'm lagging, I'll just log out. Oh, but could I just I have this button and I'm pressing it for this, but then it doesn't take long to do one step further and then just use it at your convenience.
Right.
Well, so Ken, what is your thoughts? There just should be no logouts, or you have to manually
I
log
don't
out?
really know.
Okay.
But I know that I don't use it because I can't use it. So even if I could use it, I don't think I would.
Okay.
Because I like the challenge.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when I die, I get pissed off and I throw my computer across the room, kind of thing. But I'd rather face death right to
the end.
Face to face.
Okay. Well, so interesting. So would you be in favor then of a race mode where you can't log out? I guess the only thing you could do is town portal, I guess, or maybe no town portals, or what?
Or maybe a mode like that, or one race that does that would be cool.
Okay. Because I think it'd be cool.
Yeah.
And then I'm on the same level.
Yeah.
Right? I'm never going to be even with everybody. It's never going to be that way.
You said earlier that you did hit the top 100, so you might not be even with everybody, but you're definitely better than some, right?
Yeah, I guess. What else were we? Handicap gaming. There's a lot of people out there that if when you're playing the game and you come up with a guy that's handicapped, please be helpful. I know you guys don't really understand sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
They got a lot of shit to deal with.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, but so I think I thought you'd said at one point that you liked the PoE community because people were in general very helpful.
Oh, yeah, they're awesome.
Yeah.
A PoE community is way better than Diablo.
Uh-oh.
I'll give you an example. I was playing yesterday, and I wanted to get a power level, and the guy says, "Go to hell. You play the game, or learn to play the game." And I'm like, "Wow, really, dude?"
You're talking about this was in PoE or this was in Diablo?
No, Diablo yesterday.
Oh, wow.
Oh, you're playing the new Necromancer patch.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
did
I
that
was
just
trying the Necromancer out.
oh, did that
And
just
it
come out?
sucks. Pretty much sucks.
Okay, well, there's a review. Did that just come out? The Necromancer?
Yeah, last week.
Oh, okay. All right. So
Yeah,
what's your rating then? But if we have more, give me a one sentence review then of Necromancer versus PoE 3.0 in terms of what do you think is going to be better?
PoE.
Okay, I guess
Uh, Diablo's like a 2, PoE's like a 7 right now.
Okay.
7.
A
What's
7.
holding it back then? If PoE is only a 7, what is holding it back?
That they could do to make this game a better. I don't know why. It's like Diablo 3. For the longest time, I tried to think what they need to do to make that game good again, because it kind of sucks doing greater rifts over and over again, and the repetition is crazy.
Right. Do you think PoE is sort of the same thing with maps, or do you think it's a better version?
Kind of, but why do you have that choice?
Right.
Choose that map. You don't. In Diablo 3, you're just thrown into a greater rift kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I like having a choice to go into a map or to do a league stone, because I don't do league stones.
Oh, you don't do leak stones?
Oh.
Why?
I die all the time. I get totally overwhelmed.
Do you think it's a good mechanic though, the league stones?
Yeah, it gives you variety. It gives you a challenge. But for me, I play hardcore, so anything that's gonna kill me, strategy wise, I get rid of.
Well, I wonder what Noogie thinks about it, but I know for me, after the first character I leveled, I really kind of stopped using the league stones when I'm leveling a little bit because it can be a little, I think, just like Ken's saying, right, a little overwhelming at times.
Yeah, I think there are some league stones that are very beneficial to you, and where you still have control. There's a lot of the like any of the prophet, like there are good prophecies. The little monkey giving you the prophecy is never a bad thing, and the ambush, where you can you get the chest and you can kind of decide whether or not you want to open it when you have it. So I think there's a lot of league stones out there that do not really pose any risk. And you always, while leveling at least, I use those, and then I just skip the dangerous ones.
Right. Well, there was
I know there's a streamer, Mosey. I think his name's Mosey.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that guy was mixing league stones that it was crazy. There was like so much mobbed.
Right.
I don't know how they did it.
Well, the interesting thing is going to be there was an interesting Reddit thread about people. It was, I don't remember the exact title, but it was like, "Hey, dear GGG, if standard became this Legacy League, I would be so happy."
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah. So I want.
That would be good, actually.
Okay. Because if they get rid of the Zana mod, I know, right, a lot of people in standard, the permanent league standard, right, run Zana all the time, I guess, in order to, right, they're just running Nemesis, I guess, or I don't know what they're running, Beyond, and then, or what, in order to get, I'm assuming, Headhunter, or, old league uniques. So, I mean, what do you think about that, Noogie, or Ken?
Well, I think that's actually a good idea.
Yeah.
And it speaks to the idea of what standard is. It's where all the legacy items are. It's where you can get everything, you can try everything, and you can combine everything.
That's
so
when you can mess around.
Yeah. And League Stones will also provide you with that option where you can customize your experience today with all leagues. I think that sounds like a great idea.
Yeah.
Actually, I never thought of it that way. That's actually a super idea.
Yeah. So I'm really interested to see what the because we got a post about how this was one of their most popular leagues, but I don't think we know, or did they do the X people have completed X number of challenges post? They normally do that once or twice a league, right? You know, like
Yeah.
less than 1%
I have not
have
seen
36.
one this league.
Okay. So
And
I'm
they
curious.
probably won't do that.
You don't think they will?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, why?
Because it in a business standpoint, if it's negative,
True.
wouldn't be good for them.
Right. I mean that's a fair point. Also, I don't know if you guys saw that. Apparently, speaking of business decisions, that they sort of sneakily changed the timeline
Yes.
for the beta. I guess that was.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I guess. I mean, I don't remember exactly what it said. Do you remember what it said before the change, Nugi?
It said early May, late April.
Ooh.
Now it says late May, early June.
Early June. Right. So basically, I got pushed back 2 or 3 weeks. It seems like.
Yeah.
I mean, I think everyone would be fine with that. I mean, maybe this is the best way.
Yeah, that's not bad at all.
No.
Like, what about Diablo 3? It took like 12 years.
Well, I think there's a lot of people who don't know that there was a game being designed in like 2008, 2009. I don't remember that exactly. Somewhere in there by the original Blizzard North team. I believe so, because I've seen screenshots of it. It actually very reminiscent of PoE. It was very dark, sort of very gothic.
Yeah.
Looked really cool. And they scrapped the entire thing somewhere in there, 2009, something like that, I think. So yeah, I mean, that's why we have this weird huge gap. I also feel like most of the people who were not part of that development team must have gone to World of Warcraft, because so many things in World of Warcraft are reminiscent of Diablo. Or I mean, I guess it's all tied together.
Yeah,
right? Because there's Warcraft.
I think
they took Warcraft stuff and put it in D2, and then et cetera, right? So it's all
they throw it all together.
Yeah,
I think they have different. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Ken.
Oh, I just said even like they kind of mix everything up, like Heroes of the Storm.
Right.
I think they're in the WoW development team, or in the Blizzard development team. From what I understand, they have like they have teams, right? So Team 5, I believe, is on Hearthstone, and then they move people across these teams depending on what they're developing. And if a team needs help, well, then they take some of the people from certain teams. But then every team is like its own entity.
Okay. But they obviously it does seem like there's sort of a universe, like a Blizzard universe, and a lot of the same things kind of get.
Oh, for sure.
You know, I mean, obviously people like that. So I mean, I know I do. So, yeah. So it's interesting you say the business decision. Ken, are you excited then for having a beta test of 3.0, or would you prefer to not be spoiled and just go right into 3.0? Because that seems to be a hot topic for a lot of people.
I have both. I'm kind of going both ways. It's nice to know what's coming up, but I don't want to get again repetition again, right?
Right.
You don't want to do it over and over and over. So I would like the beta. I would like to try the beta. But on the other side of it, I don't want a spoiler.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of torn between two here.
What about you, Noogie? What are your thoughts? I don't know. Have we talked about it? whether we want a spoiler or not. That specific part, I don't think we have.
I don't know. I don't think we've talked too much about whether or not we want spoilers.
Yeah.
I don't care too much.
Okay.
In all honesty, yeah, I think it would be nice to keep some of the last things for the actual launch, so we don't. I would like that we don't get to see the end boss, so that remains a mystery.
Yeah.
So when everyone's racing against each other, in that sense, because if we were not racing against each other, I wouldn't really care, because then we're just all going through the game and we're experiencing it. But when everyone comes together when it releases, well, then it's exciting to see when someone gets there and how they're like, whether or not they make it or whatever.
Right.
Whether or not they die or not.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, we don't. What's the end? Do we know what the end boss is? We don't know that either, right? Or we are guessing it's innocent
No.
sin something or whatever.
Oh, that's right.
Or Lunaris, Solaris are some of the bosses.
Yeah, but that, but that
spoiler
is
alert.
the innocence and the as well. That's that thing still.
Okay.
That's those two things colliding. Was the fire and the darkness, I think.
Okay.
What is
So
it?
I'm not sure.
Purity?
It'll be interesting to see. I think I agree. I hope they don't release, because didn't they initially said they were not going to put Malachi in the beta? I thought, and then it went in for 3 days before.
Yeah.
Do you know if they nerfed Malachi?
Do I know if
him?
yeah, they did.
Oh, no wonder why. Okay.
Yeah, no, he's much, especially Cruel.
Yes.
Cruel got the biggest nerf, but in fairness, in this racer's opinion, I thought Cruel was so overtuned.
It was kind of ridiculous. But
yeah, I mean, I always got a rush, and then even people rushing you with their level 90 characters could die to it. Like,
I've seen people die with like 5k health.
Right.
Like just straight up one shot.
Yeah, before the nerf. Was it Etup got killed, or somebody that was rushing Etup died? Maybe it was
possibly
Etup was getting a rush. Yeah, and they just fell dead. I still think he could probably kill you with a slam, especially if it crits, right?
Now?
You know, I just started killing Malachi. I've killed him 5 times in a row now, and it's Cruel, not the next level.
Mm-hmm.
Merciless.
But it took me a long time.
Right.
Yeah.
Over a year to kill that sucker.
Because, so what's the toughest part about the fight for you? The fact that it's so, like, you're so constrained and compact, like it's such a tiny area to dodge all this stuff that's happening?
The movement's really hard for me.
Right.
So, but once I figured the pattern, it was easy.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how a lot of the fights. Actually, that's a lot of the fights in PoE are that right now, and even in the highest like Shaper and other fights like that, once you figure out the pattern, you can take almost no damage.
Right.
So what do you guys actually think about that?
Well,
the fact that you can get to a point where you just glass cannon and kill things without taking damage.
Isn't that the classic CI? What is the 1 point health build? Your EBMOM CI or however blood magic CI, whatever it is. When those people kill Itsiri. I guess someone finally kill Shaper with the take no damage build? I don't know if I've seen that.
I don't know.
Okay. I don't know, I'm curious what do you kind of do? You don't do glass cannon builds, Ken, or you try to do tanky builds?
No, pretty tanky builds. Yeah, because what's really hard for me, and we talked about this the other day, is the healing pots, reaching down and healing. Like there's a modder and a add-on that heals for you when you get too low, and I would like to use that, but they said no. So And the reasoning for that was, if they do it for me, they're going to have to do it for everybody else.
Right.
And I kind of understand that.
Yeah. Well, I think it's confirmed Ken's not a cheater. Confirmed on stream.
Oh, I die a lot, trust me.
Well, it's interesting because you're talking about the cast on crit builds or whatever. Would something like Righteous Fire be a great build for you?
I haven't tried that one yet.
Okay. Because that seems like that's a build that doesn't, I guess pots obviously help, but
Yeah, they
doesn't
do
need as much. Yeah.
Well,
And
you kind of
that build off.
for the most part you can click one
Walk
potion.
around.
Oh, come again?
Right.
Oh, it seems like that Righteous Fire build, all you do is walk around it
Yeah.
and things die.
Yes.
It's kind of pointless.
Well, they didn't, the manifesto that just came out talk about how the way they're changing things seems like, though they didn't explicitly say it, that there might be a huge buff to RF coming, right? Because of how
Really?
they're changing. Yeah, I believe.
Because of the double dipping changes.
Right. And so the way they're changing it is they're giving you, what is it, more ignite or something, or chance to ignite is
well,
more.
they're adding, so to improve ignite builds, they're adding more multipliers to that style of damage over time, more multipliers, and RF is one of those, and they are very limited in that already.
Yeah.
So that should be a big buff.
Yeah.
I was talking to Project last night, and I guess he's not coming back, and he's just unhappy with the direction, and I don't agree with that. I kind of like the direction.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's an interesting. I'd say it's definitely an interesting conversation because I see his point. I do think it's become a bit of a meme, almost, to just be like, whatever all that sort of baggage with the PT, all he said and whatever. But I mean, I think he's got a point of view, right? Because it seems like even the people who didn't agree with him have started to come around to there's just a little too much clear speed available to people, a little too much. You just ignore monsters as you run through, right? Like all of the headhunter, Vol, fireball. What is that map they're running, by the way?
What's
that? I don't run myself. What map are they always on? It's like it's a loop.
Well, there's a few maps they run. It's either Mesa or Primordial Pool.
Oh, it's Primordial Pool, I think, is what they're running then.
Yeah.
Right? It looks like a pool. Okay.
Because you can sextant.
Right. Okay.
The only thing in this game which makes it hard in hardcore, because I haven't got high enough. I haven't reached the end game yet.
Mm-hmm.
So when I do that, I'll probably have a stronger opinion of the game too, right?
Right.
Well, I don't know. I think it's important to recognize the people who are spending a lot of time in the early to middle part of the game, because a lot of people talk about PoE only as being end game,
right?
And I always feel it's a very, like, how do we reach that the fastest, and should we add shortcuts? I don't know what you guys feel about that, but I personally do not think that it would be. I feel like there's a lot of a lot of the game is the early to mid game in PoE.
Sure. Yeah.
I think that's where Blizzard went wrong with Diablo 3.
Right, by just abandoning.
Yeah.
They basically abandoned that after 4 months, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting to me because one of the things I remember being very, very vocal about when we were alpha testing stuff was the changes to Brutus and Merveil. And I thought they were just... Brutus was... I mean, I got it a little bit. I still think... I feel like there's a way to have a difficulty spike without being. It was for a little while. It was very, very punishing.
Mm-hmm.
And then Mervale, that first version of her rework, where she summoned her daughters, and there was just stuff everywhere. I was just like, this. You don't even have cold res sometimes. So and even with a cold ring on, you could die in one set of channels. And so, I think you're right, because we want it to be iconic and sort of memorable, but we also want it's sort of people are being introduced to it a little bit, right? I mean, I always thought that was a problem with Hellrake. With the ice spear, you just get frozen and that's it. You're dead. So I'm glad it's better, because it feels much more. You take the damage, and then you can kind of run away. It feels like I don't know what you think, Dougie, but
for Hellrake now, or
yeah, for Hellrake now.
Yeah, he is still a very, very dangerous. Like, he's a dangerous encounter for any new player.
Hard,
yeah.
At the last act, he's hard as shit.
Yeah.
I don't think I even ever run him on my characters in Merciless. I don't think I go in there, just because I feel
you can
like
get some good potions in there. It's definitely worth it.
You can, but I don't think I definitely wouldn't go there in normal progression. I might go back after I've gotten a couple more levels to try to, if I'm not ranged, I would say, because I still
not prepared, at least.
Right, I still dress and. Okay. So just a funny race story, but a long time ago, ASDF man, some people might know, he was a popular Leap Slam guy. I believe he was 21st on the ladder, and for anyone who doesn't know, 1 through 20 got an alternate demi, and 21 got nothing. So like a lot of things in PoE, it's very binary. You either get it or you don't. And so he was only behind by like 12 or 15 points, and there was a party race coming up. And so I said, you know what? Let's give you every single. Of course, this is back when doing the first Hellrake or doing the first whatever. I think that actually still happens. You would get additional points, right? First to kill Hellrake gets 3 points. First to kill Piety, 3 points, etc., etc., etc. So we did all the things for him. He had already gotten 30 points, I believe. And this is before they changed it, where if you die, you still get your points. So little did we know, while everyone had split up and was running something to give him a quest, Fetid Pool, or what's the crab? Whatever the crab quest
Flooded
is.
Depths.
Flooded Depths, thank you. And little did we know, there's ASDF man off doing Hellrake and Cruel, which, let me just tell you, if you're under geared and don't have 60 cold res, he will fuck you up. And ASDF man died on Hellrake, and I facepalmed so hard, and I was so sad. But yes, that's never do Hellrake in Cruel if you're in a race scenario, at least in my opinion. It's just way too risky it is a reward for sure. But yeah, anyway. So it's interesting. What did you say, Ken?
Is it worth it?
Yeah. So, I don't know what you think about it, Noogie, where it does seem like a little bit they're trying to do away with those, because I think that was old Hellrake. Yeah, he fired spears.
Yeah, old Hellrake was spears, and then on harder difficulties, she got LMP and GMP, I think.
Right. Yeah.
So that was crazy.
So what do you think about the fact that they're kind of trying to do away with that, where people would just skip bosses, and now they've streamlined the game, and you just kill they want you to kill every boss in essence?
I think they've just kind of lowered some of the difficulty across the board.
Okay.
I don't think the side quests are more or less affected than anything else. I think they're still, like, in comparison to everything else, they're like in line with the same difficulty.
Right.
Because if they kept them the same.
Oh, I said, don't lower the difficulty, please.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I like that it's so hard.
Right. But it's a fair. But wouldn't you say, Ken? What's your experience? Do you think that there were some bosses that were they spiked too hard difficulty, that they were just out of whack with everything else? Everything else was a good difficulty, and then occasionally you'd have one thing you go, what happened? In essence.
Yeah, Malachi was like that for me.
Yeah. No, I
was like blown away.
Okay. I know my personal pet peeve now is Duresso. I think Duresso is way too hard for where he's Yeah, in my opinion, he's harder than Malachi personally. After they nerfed
Wow.
Malachi,
Yeah, I don't agree with that. I think he's a joke.
okay, fair. Well,
But
fair enough. Different opinions.
it could be my builds too, right?
Yeah.
They're more to that.
How do you
They're
actually
more to that
feel?
fight.
How do you actually feel about? Because what kind of builds are you making, Ken? Is what I
I
would like to know.
okay, I'll tell you my favorite build.
Yeah.
It's Glacial Hammer, and everybody laughs at me, but I like it. I've been doing a lot of different summoner builds,
Mm-hmm.
from Golem to SRS to just the basic normal one, with the specters and skeletons and yeah, I've been doing that. I did Frostblade. I ran it to about 85, and then I stopped because it started getting boring. A lot of builds.
Mm-hmm.
I try a lot of people's builds, but I can't do their builds because I have to kind of shape it towards me.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So I'm never going to copy a build, but I'll take an overview of the build and use that.
Right.
A lot of builds right now are very heavily uh, skewed towards damage rather than defense.
Yeah.
And for you, I could imagine that would be because if you don't if you can't utilize all the mobility, that makes it hard for a build to use. So what do you feel
Yeah.
about just straight up building for mitigation and defense? To me, at least, it seems like that seems like a style that is kind of fallen out of fashion and is not as strong, like for what you put into it, for what you invest into it. So I don't know
think
if you.
people's mentality is that offense is a really good defense, and that's how they go on it. I'm the opposite. I kind of like hedgy with the defense is really, for me, it's really important. So yeah, I have a different opinion on that one.
But do you think that the game is in a good place with the balance between the two?
Sorry, I didn't hear that.
Do you think the game is in a good place with the balance between the two, between offense and defense?
No, not right now. And I find there's too much mobility where you could run through a map in like 3 minutes. Like for me, I can't do that. Like it takes me the full term to do a map, and yeah, I don't. It's not that I don't agree with it. It just there's some things I can't do. That's all.
What about you, Most?
Well, there was I saw, I think it's been posted before, but somebody posted how I think it was called pacifist build, where you never actually kill anything or damage anything. Only things that attack you can die. So it's reflect and it's punishment and stuff like that. So
yeah,
he was
I try to build like that.
Okay. So the guy talked about how he talked about how he only killed one monster, and that was Hillock. And so somebody said, of course, fully memeing, that it wasn't truly ethical pacifist build because you didn't remake until you found Bramblejack on the beach so that Hillock would kill himself. But I thought it was an interesting idea because people have done it before, like pure reflect block builds, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, so but it does seem like they wanted to cater to that with Anvil, because Anvil has like full 400 reflect block, but it feels like they. I mean, I don't know. Maybe not. I mean, they have the statistics, right? So if there's 10 people playing that build, I guess they would say, "Why would we design anything to that?" And I mean, like, there is some merit to that.
Yeah, right? Yeah. If you design a bunch of uniques and nobody's using them, well,
Okay, that's the thing. That's the outcome. As much as I feel bad for those people who really want to play that, because there's been a build that perhaps I want to play in the past, and they just have been like, well, no one's playing this, so we have to move on. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's an interesting sort of thing to talk about in terms of 3.0 with as we've talked about with the fresh reset. Maybe some of these things can be pulled back. Maybe we can have a little bit more of a balance between them. I still think with ascendancy, right, there's never going to be a balance between offense and defense, right? Because it does seem like I guess with one or two class exceptions, almost all of the true power in ascendancy is from crazy offensive stuff, right?
Yeah.
That ascendancy stuff, that lab is so hard for me. Holy, all the mechanics drives me nuts.
What's your dream solution, Ken, then to it? Never having to do the lab, or maybe you can.
No, I like the lab because
okay,
again, it's a challenge, but
right.
I'm just saying it can be frustrating.
Right. Yes, I think I agree.
For new players too.
Right. I am not a fan of the lab personally, but it does seem like it's very. What would you say? People have strong opinions about it, positive or negative, right, Nikki? When you say that,
Yeah.
I like the concept.
Okay.
It's like brilliant, but it's hard to shit sometimes.
What about you, Noogie? Have we talked about that? Whether you like the lab or not? I don't know.
We have in the past.
Okay. Okay.
But yeah, no, I like the lab. I don't like running it all the time.
Okay.
If I make a dedicated lab runner, I tried it on the SRS character I recently did, and
right.
it was actually it's very enjoyable once you have bleed immunity and soul strike, because you regen so fast.
Right. And speaking of which, we should say congratulations to Noogie for 100. I forgot that was this week, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. Nice. Solo self-found number 4 or 5. Which was?
Number 4, right on.
Oh no, I made it number 5 on the ladder.
Oh, number 5. Number 5. Yeah.
Awesome.
And that other guy who we talked about last week or whenever, he finally got there too, right?
Yeah.
Didn't he?
He's number 4.
Okay.
The person who has
zeros.
2 99s already, and this was his third one on the way to 100.
Oh my god. Exif or something is his account. I don't want to.
Exif, I think.
Is it Exif? Okay.
EXIF, I think.
Because I mean that is pretty impressive.
Very.
That's very dedicated. Though, did you also see though? Because one could say once you have everything set up, it's not as difficult to run the 100. Obviously, for someone who just did it, like it's always gonna be a struggle, especially when you're solo self-found. But there, Adrian just did 1 to 100 in 1 day, 14 hours.
Yeah, I thought it was 1 day, 11 hours.
Oh, 11 hours? Oh, I'm sorry.
Hold on.
11 hours.
It doesn't matter. I mean, either way is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard.
Yeah.
I don't really understand. Did he really break down what exactly he was doing? It's just Sexton Shore with the triple beyond or whatever was
Adrian?
going on. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I think it's just shores with it's either Chola Bridge. I think he was doing shores. There are multiple things you can do. You can chain Cholas, which is apparently the most XP you can get. I think.
Because we were doing that. And at 99, I was getting 44 million XP an hour.
Yeah, which is absolutely crazy. I was getting, when I was doing very, very well, at 99, I was getting 16 to, around 16, 17.
Okay.
When I was doing well.
You notice when getting to about 90, 94, people start quitting that character and making another one because it's really hard to get XP.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I know that's, I mean, so I hit 100. Maybe I do it again, but to me, there's a challenge in and of itself, I think, but in terms of the character and the progression and the stuff, there's not much what's left to really do.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
you're just sort of ramming your head into the wall a little
Reaching
bit.
the goal.
Right. Now, I mean, I think they've changed. It used to be, for me, it's funny how it's progressed. First, it was level 80, then it was like 87, then it was like 92. Now it's clearly like 94, 95. We'll have to see if they adjust the XP curve again. It does feel like the same amount of time nets you a further and further character anyway, as of right now.
I think on the first, like on your first attempt, I think it's been pretty much the same for a long time.
Right.
There's not been too much variance on the first travel to getting to 100.
Okay.
But once you start accumulating tools in PoE, you can make
Right.
it a lot faster.
Right. But like what you're saying with the breach and everything.
Yeah, and the sextants and everything.
Right.
And so let's say you don't have that much time, but you're very good at trading, and you get a ton of currency. Then you can then invest that into, okay, now I'm actually going to try, and it's not going to be as time consuming because I have all these things.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I watch you do these speed runs, because I learn a lot, man.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. Well, I mean, not to maybe beat it to death a little bit, but I do really think that everyone out there would benefit from racing once in a while, even just to change things up.
Yeah.
Even if maybe you don't really like it, so you might watch a video, and there's always things to learn. Like, for instance, I did my like two days ago now. I did a run. I had no idea you could double click Diala in Act 4, and cut
Double-click?
when
Yeah,
you're turning in the Fury in the eye.
When she does the beam.
She does the beam. Yeah.
You can cut
So
over
there's always something to learn. Now, I've never rushed Act 4, because I think 99% of the time I buy a rush from somebody because I just don't really like Act 4. And it's, if you have the waypoints, you can do Act 4 in like 2 minutes. And if you don't, it's a bit of a run on a low character. But there's always something to learn. I think that's the best part about it, right? You can improve your play. You learn something new. You're like, wow, that's really cool that you can. I know one thing I always say is, Hellman is a really good example of this, where when he settled on a weapon and he picks up a blacksmith, and if his weapon wasn't full quality, he qualities the weapon while he has it equipped. And people are always like, whoa, what did you just do? Right? Because that's just something they didn't know that you could do. And I think that's the coolest part about racing to me. Whether or not people actually follow through and do some racing, I hope they do. I think I think it's important that it's hardcore personally, but like, because if Ken's playing hardcore, right, and because he wants the challenge, I really feel like everyone should like and want that challenge, right?
like when they brought racing out, I think when they brought it out, they put too much of it
Yes.
at one time. I think it should be only like maybe ran on the weekends, or something like that, because people are off work. And there's more people to do the race.
Right. Well, I mean, it's interesting that one thing that was lost was the sense of urgency. Right. That is what I think was, and I will be perfectly honest. That is something
in racing, or
in racing, whether there's one race. Yeah, there's one race a week, so you really don't want to die, because if you die an hour into the race, you're like, well, that's it, and now I'm upset. So, go ahead, Ken.
I want to say one thing to the community. PoE, you guys out there are awesome. Please keep it up. Be helpful, like you are. Like when I first came to PoE, I was welcomed with open arms.
Yep.
And that's important in the game.
Yeah, I mean, right. Everyone was a noob at some point. I guess maybe somebody who is Chris's friend is probably the only person who was not a noob right? Because they were playing since 2009 or something. But I mean, I was a noob at one point, and people were very nice to me. This was, years ago at this point, and that was what made me come back, because that first game I played was awful. This game it's so much better than it was back then, and it really was the community that's what got me to come back. So I think that's a really good point on Ken's.
Well, it's just like Warcraft. Vanilla Warcraft was awesome for that community stuff, but then they went away from it.
Yeah.
And went a different direction.
Yeah.
So you don't have that anymore. Well, you do and you don't.
Yeah. Well, I think in World of Warcraft, what they did is that they added too many shortcuts to circumvent playing with others and having to group with others and talking with others.
Yeah.
Right.
I agree.
And and it's funny. I guess I can see both sides of it, but I do think there's something to be said for if you ninja something, you're blacklisted on the realm.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know, like I don't think you should have to go to jail in real life, but I do think things having consequences is important to create a community. That's just how that's how it works. So, well, anyway, I think that's kind of a nice little note to end on there from Ken, right? The real positive that the community is, make the community good, right? You can,
especially with 3.0 coming up and so many new players coming in from all different communities, because there's going to be a lot of people from other games coming in with that.
Right. I mean, well, I don't know. I guess I'm very excited and very nervous about the servers handling it. I feel like there's no way they could plan for it, right? Because if they buy too many servers, that's a huge waste, right? But so they're probably not going to, and I think could we have 200,000 people online? Because what did they hit, 120 or 110 for
I don't actually know.
Breach and Legacy? One of these leagues they hit over 100,000. So I think they could hit 150, 200,000. Okay, well,
for 3.0.
Okay,
possibly.
I hope so. Yeah. Well, anyway, I want to say thanks very much, Ken, for coming. It was really great having you.
No problem.
Yeah, and do you want to plug where people can find you, just in case?
You can find me at NoHandsKen. Twitch.com. There's Facebook. But really, why I did this in the beginning is my son, we used to play Warcraft arenas, and we would kill people. And then I would have a macro that would say, you just got killed by a guy that plays with his mouth. And they would get upset. And they would call me a troll. Well, my son wanted me to stream just to show that I'm not a troll.
Oh, that's great.
So what lesson can we take from that? Shit talking goes across all races, all nationalities, all religions, right? Everybody enjoys a little bit, right? Little trolling, little shit talking. Yeah.
But I want to thank you guys for inviting me. I know I'm kind of still new at this stuff and a bit naive, and I'm overwhelmed by people like Nugiyen Morris Project. They're very, very awesome guys.
Oh, thank you so much.
Well, now I'm going to get cocky. No, it was great. And I think the big thing to remember is that, and I think what people will take out of this episode is that if you use logout, you are basically cheating. If Ken doesn't need the logout, we don't.
That's my opinion.
Yeah. But yeah, well, no, it was great. Thank you very much. And just a little housekeeping. If you want to download or subscribe or whatever the podcast, we have all the options. That's the one good thing about the podcast. The coffeetalkpodcast.com, and then it gets on your RSS feed. I actually don't. All the mechanics of behind it are interesting and new to me, but people have said it works, so that's great. And then when we've been doing a very good job, right? Nugi's been uploading it
on Mondays, noon for EU, and like late afternoon for West Coast, I guess.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. So great. Well, thank you. Thank you very much. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. You too, guys.
See you later, Ken.
Yeah. Resize.
Okay.
You pull the table closer.